A long, long time ago, a Tuesday in November, when that sinking feeling laid us low, we knew if he had his way that we'd all live to curse the day when decency received a fatal blow. His bankruptcy's got no attention, pussy grabbing barely mentioned, promising a great wall. He swore to make tax rates fall. I still remember how I tried to have sympathy for his third bride, but something rumbled deep inside the day democracy died. But no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Is Putin the one to blame? 'Cause we all know it was not Ukraine who lost it by 3 million strong. And do you believe the shit he says, repeated by Fox talking heads? We're quite amazed they fell for such a con. All the red hats at Israelis cheer, but there must be something in the beer. 'Cause if they had a brain, then they know this man's insane. Oh, he was a loser bullied by his dad, kept bailing out, his debt's gone bad. He craved the love he never had the day democracy died. So now we're saying no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Every 4 years we all make a choice and try to unite our divided voice. I guess that's how it's always been. Now we find ourselves in this crazy state and want to vote for love or hate, and we can't ever let the darkness win. Oh, dictatorship was not our thing, but electors picked a tyrant king, and peaches sure taste sweet. Oh, but yeah, that's all history. 'Cause when Moscow Mitch gets on the case, then honor's gone without a trace, and we all pray they'd be replaced before democracy dies. Now we're singing no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Face it, he's just a racist, and white is what he means by greatest. Rich and white is better, yes. A monster with a crooked past, who laundered condos for autocrats, but he can't outrun the bloodhounds on his tracks. 'Cause the time keeps ticking like a fuse. 52% are not amused, too many to suppress. Oh, what else repossess? Yeah, we know that right is on our side, and soon we'll look back full of pride. Together we can reverse the tide before democracy dies. Now we're singing no, don't let democracy die. kiss our country goodbye. Singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Oh, and we're alone in that booth. All generations, age and youth. The time has come to pick the one. So come on, search your heart and search your soul. Don't flush our planet down a hole for an orange ash is blotting out the sun. Oh, and as I watch him on the stage, his lips they twist in fits of rage, playing the victim well. He cast his creepy spell, and as conspiracies on Facebook know, we flip the page and just say no, because only she would watch that show and let democracy die. We're all saying no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye. Singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. I met a girl who chose him once. Now she regrets she played the dunce, and she's a leading activist. I went down to the polling place, saw lines for miles, all happy-faced, and the crowd there knows who they're not gonna pick. And on the screens the pundits shriek, a slanted poll, an angry tweet, hackers interfering. It's too late for a hearing. Good thing you and I and all our friends now realize our life depends on making sure this madness ends before democracy dies. Yeah, we're all singing, no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye. Singing, vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. We're all singing, no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye. Singing, vote for anyone but this guy.
We are on, and thank you all for attending. And today again I'm going to be and the fact that he was really a second incarnation of the Karmapa. Second incarnation. And it was made very clear by the Karmapa at the time that this is a second incarnation of the Karmapa. This person is the same as Karmapa. Same ability, same everything. Yeah? But he gave him a red hat so that you can distinguish between the two. Yeah? And that's the truth. And he knows this and he says this. Yeah? So that's his premise. That's where he's at. You know, this is the truth of what happened to the Karmapa and the events that went on. So Karmapa continues incarnating, in each and every life they find each other. And it's always the Karmapa who's the teacher to the Karmapa. So, but they're always finding each other until there is a difficulty. And one of the difficulties, in my own view, one of the difficulties is a student of the Karmapa, who's known as Taisa Rinpoche. And he became a student, and as a student, he was empowered, and he was made as a heart son, recognized as a very good, qualified practitioner, student of the first order, to the Karmapa. So there came a second incarnation, and then a third incarnation. The Karmapa would recognize this reincarnation of this disciple. Yeah, so it became one of the heart sons in the relationship of Karmapa. But in the process, Shamarpa is in reality a Karmapa. Yeah, but somewhere along the line, it got to where he's maybe just, just an emanation, maybe just a heart son, maybe just, not all that, as the Karmapa said, this Karmapa and this Karmapa are the same Karmapa. Yeah, yeah. And, so to him, it was important for everybody to understand that he was an emanation of Dorje Chung. Yeah. And that Dorje Chung and Karmapa are separate. One is the manifestation of Dorje Chung, and he is the emanation of Dorje Chung. Yeah. So that creates his reality, and that's the way in which Karmapa sees reality. That he truly is a direct manifestation and incarnation of one of the incarnations of Dorje Chung, which is Padmasambhava. Yeah, so he knows this, he sees this. This is in his lineage. Yeah, so it goes all the way back to Naropa and Nagarjuna and all the lineage relationships that lead all the way through Padmasambhava and the manifestation of the incarnation of the Karmapa, which is a externalized, incarnated reincarnation of Padmasambhava in more than one form. Yeah, yeah. This makes all the sense in the world if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, that this isn't about, most people think, well, Karmapa is an incarnated human being that has a lot of merit, and they're highest in their Kaju lineage. Yeah, but they're not. They're not. They are an incarnated Bodhisattva. Yeah, literally. Yeah, this happens. This is real. Buddha is real. Yeah, real incarnation of Buddha always has incarnations of Bodhisattvas in the world. Yeah, that is the teaching of Buddhism. So they are dealing with the reality on the level of Buddha. Yeah, and the circumstances that come up in the way in which the mind can't see clearly when there really is ambition and pride and arrogance taking place inside the lineage that gets the way of the reincarnation of Shamar Rinpoche. And it fosters the empowerment of another lesser student of the Karmapa who's left to have the responsibility of finding the Karmapa because they are not allowed to recognize Shamar Rinpoche anymore. So when Karmapa dies, it can't be Shamar Rinpoche that recognizes him. He would never be authorized. Yeah? Because he certainly hasn't been recognized. So a whole life goes by without anybody knowing who he is. But yet, the Karmapa keeps incarnating and is recognized. And the one who recognizes him is most commonly Daishoda Rinpoche. But that's not because he's supposed to. Yeah? It's simply because he's the one empowered and Shamar Rinpoche is banned from incarnation. So how it worked was that the Karmapa would make very strategic, clear notes and prophetic communications to people as to where he's going, so there'd be no confusion. And it'd be easy, even for Daishoda Rinpoche or another, to come across and find the Karmapa, because usually the Karmapa is self-realized, and around 5 or 6 years old, he's already talking about being Karmapa and wanting to go back. Yeah. So that's always in the history that we find of all the Karmapas. Yeah, they're self-realized. They usually claim that they are the Karmapa. So it's really not that much left up to other people recognizing the Karmapa. Not in history. Yeah, not normally. Yeah, that's who he's known for. Yeah, but this is never brought up. It's never brought up. Yeah. So it's important for everybody to know this. This is really what is going on. In the past, And what is actually going on right now, because both these are Karmapa. Both these are Karmapa. That means we have two Bodhisattva Karmapas. Now, if a Buddha incarnates, there's going to be more Bodhisattvas than there were before he incarnated. It's part of the deal, yeah? And the whole process of Bodhisattvas is going to grow as lineage trees in process of the coming incarnation of the Buddha Maitreya, which is all throughout Tibetan Buddhism, yeah? And that influence is directly, immediately involved with the incarnation of the Karmapa, because I was one of the manifested incarnations of the Karmapa during the 16th incarnation of the Karmapa. Yeah, so I took over responsibility spontaneously. I find myself at a Dharma center in Hawaii, responsible for the Karmapa, yeah, and I recapitulate and I understand everything, yeah, and I go through the whole process, and I have to deal with Taisattu Rinpoche, and he has to give me empowerment for me to take the Bodhisattva vow and go back into being a tuku, and he gives me the name Karma Sunum Funsuk. This is from Taisattu Rinpoche, of all people. Yeah? And then I have a meeting with him, sit down with him. And I said, now you know I'm a tuku. You guys are the ones who got me, brought me here, and called me tuku. Lama Dorje is what you called me. Yeah? So, who is that to you? I asked them this. Who is that to you? Because he's looking for the Karmapa, and I'm sitting right there. And I'm wondering when we're going to get going here. Yeah? But he just looks at me and he says, you know, I can't really say. So he gets out these rocks or bones or something, and he throws them on the ground, does an oracle. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Holy Christ, you know. I mean, I'm sitting right in front of the guy. Everybody else that I meet from there on knows me. Yeah, and he's kind of like a pretty important tuku for me to come across and to keep moving forward. Because he's a disciple to the Karmapa. He's not a heart son. He's not a manifestation or an emanation. He's a disciple. And this can happen. Yeah? It can happen. Yeah. So I'm going to show you this video of the Karmapa talking about what he's researched throughout the 30 some odd years of his life in this incarnation about the relationship of Sharmapa, the incarnation of the Karmapa, and the incarnation of Sharmapa, and who they really are, according to him. It's kind of neat, yeah? So watch this.
Legend has it that Kathmandu Valley was a lake in which Swayambhu Hill existed as an island.
Next one. There are two. I did this with him speaking Tibetan, just so that you hear his voice, see his mannerisms, see impressions.
And the Shamarpa.
This is at the end of his speech,
is the Shamarpa.
and now they're speaking.
And the Shamarpa was kind of predicted by the second Karmapa, the Karmapakshi. The Karmapakshi said that in 100 years there will be two of my own reincarnations, and one will be wearing the black hat, and one will be wearing the red hat. So that's how the Shamar happened. So from that prediction, it seems that the Karmapas, kind of the Shamar and the Karmapa, are of the same, same thing, or the same reincarnation. Although the Shamars, kind of are placed as student, and the Karmapa as the teacher most of the time. And this way, these Shamars kind of, there were 10 Shamars, up to the 10th Shamar. And during the 10th Shamar, there were some problems. There were some complications, activities of the Shamarpa. And then the Tibetan government, the Tibetan government at that time, kind of disallowed to recognize and enthrone Shamarpas from that time. So for a certain time, the recognition and the enthronement of Shamarpa was not allowed in Tibet. And only after the 16th Karmapa came to India, he especially asks the permission of the 14th His Holiness Dalai Lama, and that is how the present Shamarpa was recognized and enthroned.
다드네 될래야 아래 될래야 아니 샤마르 군진 주에 걸리다 샤마 군진 구바 공부 좋아하네 샤마 군진 주바 중미지 제외 걸이야 다들 샤마 군진 구베 연시 니죠 감상을라마 지기 아니 가수에 샤마 무슨 딘사 지게 감상을라마 지기 안 들에서 아직 니죠 니죠네 저바 갈라가서 디 저바를 총제 다마르 두산 아니다 겁디 두산다 자나게비디 스봉 주가 지도와 근데서 고 다수 제대로 거르지래 그래서 스봉 주잖다 다마들아 다 줘로 맞으시 스봉 주잖아 다 스봉 주셔 두산 아니 고 스봉 주는 즉 대형으로다 즉 대형 두산 다 되고 샤마르 진진체 칠 중에 체 지고들아 샤마 민지여 다들 넘린 샤마서 넘린
Nami.
다가다 넘린사 구다죠 디세르 총대베다 넘린 샤마르 제대로 겁디사 니차수다
So, when we talk about Shamarpa, when the 9th Shamarpa passed away, and then the time came for the recognition of the 10th Shamarpa, there was a dispute. One great Kagyu Lama recognized one person as the Shamarpa, and another recognized another one. So there was a kind of a conflict. And at that time, because of the influence of the Chinese, there was this the system of kind of drawing lottery from the golden vase, and so therefore they did that. They took the lottery from the golden vase, and then one of them the name came through, so he became the throne holder of Shamar. But the other candidate also was recognized as Shamar, and he was called Namling Shamar because he came from the family of Namling. The another one who actually held the throne was came from a family called Tashitsepa, so he was generally called Tashitsepi Shamar.
So he's
And
saying
the
that there
Namling
were
Shamar
two
also
incarnations at the same time
continued.
of Shamar
His
Rinpoche.
reincarnation also continued till to the 15th Karmapa.
다 간다라 샤마르 미치 군지 주버 공부 좋아하네 다디 가르 디제야 연시 친대 마셔 버지 바다도 와 샤마르 미치 레세 아르데 중입니다 네 이나다 되게 칠을 막고 인자 아니 친진기 왕도前面 더리 샤마르 군디디 샤마르 군디 주지를 쓰고 만들어서 그런지 다 친진 상로 왔다체 가르 개와 가르 세제 상마로 지게잖아 안디 자지 샤마르 군디 주시 바다 지 송도와 마야 아니 스드름 지 군디 림제
This Shama, after the 10th Shamapa, then there was no throne holder of Shamapa because it was not allowed to enthrone. But there were kind of lamas, they were, who were kind of people said is the the reincarnation of Shamapa. So therefore, if we count the throne holders of Shamapa, the present one is the 11th Shamapa, But because of those who are not enthroned, and then sometimes they talk about the 14th and things like that for the present one. So this is coming from that.
다 스드름치 군진 당보디 까마보 군진 가베 로마 임브레 디두산에 지당게 스드름치 꼭 고만데서 상으로 가주에 댄서 바로 까메기 진경의 당보나지 쇼그레 되네다 군진 스드름치 군진 개바 스드 최인 중에데 아주 감사하는 배 신도네 거든요 가라서는 급디 두산에 아니 까마보 당 샤마르 가서 나바 니가로 아니 갸나리아 페베 람도 고마조래.
Now we come to the Situpas, and the first Situpa was the direct disciple of the fifth Karmapa, and since then the Situpas were the kind of the main responsible holders of one of the main Karmapa's seats called Karmagar, and especially one of the most important Situpas for the eighth Situpa called Situ Chuchinjongni. He became very important because at that time both Karmapa and Shammapa passed away, I think on their way to China or something like that, certainly within the days. And then the whole responsibility of, the Karmakaju fell on the shoulders of the eighth Situpa. And he then established the Palpung Monastery, and not only that, but he became a great master, the main such a great, scholar in all the, branches of studies of Tibet and also India. And then he did such an important activity, not only in the preservation of the, not only the Karmakaju, but the whole of the, Tibetan culture and art and all kind of aspects of the Tibetan kind of civilization. And so therefore he has been especially important, and we owe a great deal of gratitude to him. And then of course the 11th Situpa also, he was a kind of very serious or very important person, and he was
serious person.
Very serious person. But he did lots of important things for the
little bit mischievous.
A little bit. And he, especially he,
This is his memory
he did the kind
of Taisatupa's previous life.
All the works
troublesome.
Eighth Karmapa Mishu Dorje.
Commentation.
The commentaries and the works of the Karmapa Mishu Dorje, and that's how we still have the texts of Mishu Dorje, and that's how we still can study them. And also he established the Sheda. So therefore, there's so much important activities that he have done. The present Situpa, I don't need to mention. I don't want to mention here now too much, because on the last day of Mellam, we will have him, we will do the mandala offering and felicitations to him. So that time we can talk about that. There are some things during one of the, that Mitu Kocha, one of the Situpas called Mitu Kocha, his reincarnation was called Norbu Sampel, and he didn't live very long. He died very at a young age, and so if we need to count that, and if we count that, then this would be the 12th Situpa. There was also another Situpa which was recognized, but because of the arrogance of the family that he was born, they didn't give him to be enthroned, because at that time the Kagyu school was kind of a little bit weak, and so therefore then the Tulku also died very, very young, and therefore the 8th Situ Rinpoche also said that because that Tulku neither he was called Lekshe Mawa. He neither entered into the Gamakaju kind of monasteries or the school, or he also was never enthroned as a Siddhipa, so he should not be counted as one. So therefore, the system is that Tulku is not counted.
So basically, he has a pretty clear understanding of the incarnations of those two individuals and their relationship to what surrounds him, what surrounds the Karmapa. So he was doing his best to interpret Shamar Rinpoche. And at the same time, it's for you to get a view as to Situpa and the relationship of Situpa, having been a student and a recapitulated Rinpoche, which is not a very high, but it is high enough to be a reincarnated Rinpoche, a disciple of the Karmapa. Being the closest disciple of Karmapa, it will empower you, transmission will take place, and reincarnation is what the whole thing's about. So many incarnations came off of Karmapa. Jomkin Kuncha Rinpoche had the opportunity to take incarnation. Kalu Rinpoche got the incarnation that he needed to take place. All that by coming in contact with the Karmapa, and then after that, having recapitulation through reincarnation and being found again. So there's many incarnations of these individuals that are part of this process. But the difficulty is for the Karmapa right now, because they really are the true reality. And there's a thing inside of it that is the question on prayer, the question on meditation, the question on when you're focusing, receiving blessing. One would say, it's not about the Karmapa. It's not about that. It's about just the prayer. Focusing on the prayer. You don't turn the Karmapa into a deity. They say that. But yet, if you actually went to Tibet and practiced Tibetan Buddhism and went through most of the retreats under the Kagyu lineage, Karmapa is the deity. There's no question about it. He's an incarnation of a deity. He's not a manifestation of a human being, nor is Buddha. And Karmapa is a direct emanation, manifestation of Buddha. What a beautiful reality, and that's what he always tries to keep clear, that that's what's going on. But these things, have happened, and it's really diluted the process of the dharma, the telepathy, where lying and deception and things like that can happen during opportunity moments. Like when the two Karmapa Sharmapa are not incarnated, and they spend much time in the process of having no Sharmapa, being able to be recognized. It puts an enormous process of karmic, somewhere along the line, need to clear that process, because those are obstacles to the Bodhisattva. It's obstacles to the Karmapa. It's obstacles to Buddha. So they had the worst obstacles that I know of in Tibetan Buddhism. Karmapa walked around poor as a homeless person. As Karmapa, with absolutely no followers, no disciples. And that wasn't so long ago. So the whole thing of them being disempowered and it coming back around, to any kind of clarity right now during such a very powerful reality of the Karmapa taking incarnation, finding as many heart sons as possible, coming to America, flourishing the dharma, all that took place in the 60s and the 70s during the 16th incarnation of the Karmapa. The fact is that I was also there. And I was working and turning the wheels. So that empowerment of having more than one was super duper empowering. And it was through my mind. Everything was changing. Through my hierarchy. Everything was turning. Yeah? So it's a metaphysical reality in Buddha reality. It's a metaphysical reality. Yeah? It is truly metaphysical. The manifestation of physical objects. Yeah? The walking on a rock and your foot imprints. Yeah? The manifestation of objects out of the sky and onto the earth, and they're as holy as whatever would be placed on this earth. And they come from where? Buddha. Yeah? Manifestation of objects come from the mind of Buddha, and that far outweighs the phenomenon of, what is going on. Do extraterrestrials exist? Does psychicism exist? Yeah? Because there really, truly is the influence of this phenomenon, but it's due to the incarnation of Bodhisattvas and Buddhas. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? So I'm going to show you one more. When I went through this process and I went into Maui and I was recognized and I had myself connection to the Karmapa, and I was taking full responsibility for the Karmapa because Karmapa was being born that day. Yeah, I was a midwife to one of the Karmapas. Yeah, so I gave birth to the Karmapa. Taisattu Rinpoche came in order to verify whether or not this was a Karmapa. Due to the fact it was a girl, he just kind of flipped it to the side. But it's still a Karmapa. Yeah, so there I am, hanging with a Karmapa, and it's a girl, and I'm Karmapa. Yeah. And Taisattu Rinpoche is the only one who's put in position to do this recognition process. Yeah. Because nobody knows that Shambhala Rinpoche is already in process of looking for his necessary find of the Karmapa. Because he's the one who does that. Yeah. So I go to Swayambhu. I take care of Swayambhu. I actually take care of Shambhala Rinpoche. Because he's responsible for Swayambhu. That is his responsibility, because that was their Karmapa's monastery. Yeah, in his last life, the 16th Karmapa. When he died, it turned over to the Sharmapa. And it was the 16th Karmapa who rebuilt the monastery to be what it is today that I was enthroned in. Yeah, one of the first monasteries that I got to be enthroned in was the Karmapa monastery. That monastery. Yeah, so I took full responsibility, took care of all the children, brought in doctors, and healed the valley of Swayambhu. Yeah? And the whole focus of me as a Karmapa, that's what I did. Yeah? That's my activity immediately as I come into service. Yeah? Because what was told to me by Taisattu Rinpoche is, I really can't tell you who you are, but I know you're really spiritual. And I think you should go to Kathmandu, and it'll all unfold. Yeah? I thought that was great advice. Yeah. So I did. Went to Kathmandu, and in all that time, this is 1984, that's a very slow unfolding, but an extremely chaotic state, because all these people are about at the age I was when I was found in Maui, at 33. Yeah? So it's kind of trippy. It all comes around like that, and I'm now, in that position and explaining the two incarnations and helping to support the reincarnation of Shambhala Rinpoche and be able to revitalize Taisattu Rinpoche as a disciple. Yeah. And he could see his own faults, and he knows what he did, and he knows what's going on, and he knows this is going to change and all is fine. Yeah. So let's watch this one. Whoop, wrong one.
Legend has it that once Kathmandu Valley was a lake in which Swayambhu Hill existed as an island. On top of that hill stood a self-arisen crystal stupa. Buddha, when visiting the place, declared that it was a wish-fulfilling stupa, and that whoever was touched by the wind that passed over the stupa received the seed of liberation from the cycle of existence. Karmaraja Mahavihar Monastery was the residence of a monastic community comprising 50 monks and 10 staff members, until the earthquake that caused widespread devastation across Nepal on April 25, 2015. It is an ancient monastery holding many historical treasures. In the early 1970s, His Holiness the 16th Gyalwa Karmapa stayed here for several months. The monastery continued the traditional monastic curriculum and meditation practices under his direction. After his passing, the 14th Kunzing Shama Rinpoche looked after the monastery. In November 2015, His Holiness the 17th Gyalwa Karmapa came to Nepal. Beside many other activities, he also visited Swayambhu for the first time. He was awaited at the site of the stupa by Jigme Rinpoche, the brother of the late Kunzig Shama Rinpoche and Gyalwa Karmapa's General Secretary. Upon His Holiness's arrival, he welcomed him at the gate. Many people were waiting for His Holiness already and gave him a cordial reception. Music is the traditional way in which highly realized beings are welcomed. After the demolition of Karmaraja Mahavihar Monastery, the big Buddha statue from the main shrine was installed inside a temporary shelter on the grounds of Swayambhu. His Holiness Gyalwa Karmapa paid respect to the statue by lighting a butter lamp and offering a katak, the traditional scarf symbolizing flowers. This was followed by a circumambulation of the stupa. He also offered a kadak in front of a statue of Buddha Amitabha. His Holiness then performed a ritual of purification based on the practice of Vajrasattva, which is meant to remove and purify obstacles of the area. The practice of Vajrasattva is a tantric meditation, undertaken to purify all our karma in order to reach enlightenment as quickly as possible, so as to become able to help all sentient beings. It entails repeated recitation of 100-syllable mantra, accompanied by specific meditations and complex visualizations. The 17th Gyalwa Karmapa put on his black hat that symbolizes the reign of the Karmapas whose line of reincarnations date back to the first Karmapa, Dusum Khenpa, who lived in the 12th century. Ever since, the Karmapas have been among the most outstanding masters in Tibetan Buddhism. His Holiness the 17th Gyalwa Karmapa, Chingye Taye Dorje, was born in Tibet in 1983. He left Tibet in 1994 and has been living in India since then. He carries the spiritual responsibility for over 900 monasteries and meditation centers worldwide. His Holiness gave advice to a group of stakeholders in charge of the reconstruction of Swayambhu after the earthquake. Finally, he was shown around the stupa area. His Holiness also got an impression of the demolished site of Kamaraja Mahavihar Monastery. His Holiness then left the site of Swayambhu for the next program scheduled during his visit in Nepal.
Oh, isn't that informative? Yeah. It's incredibly important that Karmapa is incarnated and doing what the Karmapa is doing. But you also have to look at the other Karmapa and have incredible respect over the humility and the endurance and the patience each one has to go through while witnessing two Karmapas. And if you can see this, you'll see that this particular Karmapa, the one that was recognized by Sharma Rinpoche, holds a great deal of recognition, but not in Tibet. Yeah, not in Tibet. Yeah, mainly in Delhi and in Nepal. Yeah, in India, in Europe. Yeah, because the one that's recognized by Taisata Rinpoche just simply has not had the opportunity to travel. He barely got out of India, barely got out of Tibet, and he was pretty stuck, as he said, very, very stuck, sitting in the relationship of being with the Tibetan government and pushed toward taking over the position of the Dalai Lama. I mean, how absolutely horrendously pressured, a person is while they're in the middle of a dilemma of being recognized as a second incarnation of the most prominent incarnation of a Bodhisattva that's recognized. I mean, the Dalai Lama really has not been, doesn't show all the qualities that of the Karmapa, in present lives of the Karmapa. The existing situation of the Karmapa is a manifestation of a Bodhisattva, just like it was with Buddha. With Buddha, Maitreya was there. Yeah, when you read any of the text of Buddha, you'll see that he's talking to Maitreya. That's his, not disciple, but it's his emanation. And then everybody's all freaked out when he's ready to die. And they go, what are we going to do? Or when are we going to have a Buddha? And he says, well, Maitreya is really a Bodhisattva, and he's going to be the next coming Buddha. So the reality is that, we're always in more than one manifestation, but only supporting what we need to support in that manifestation. So I'm there for the incarnation of Sakyamuni, because in reality, Sakyamuni is an aspect of the Dhyana Buddhists. And I am the one that's sitting there, as Dorje Chung, the Adi Buddha. And all the rest are emanations of that. So that would include Sakyamuni, that would include Amitabha Buddha, that would include Manjushri, all of them. And then all of those lineages that come off of them are all emanations of the activities of Buddha. And if you don't have view, this gets confusing. If you're not at a very high level, and you're actually walking and talking and living in the Bodhisattvic reality, which is another phenomenon world, it's not this one. It coexists, but it's dharma. It's a phenomenon world of mind and matter and thought and action. And everything you do and say is turning the wheel of dharma. There's nothing you could do about it. Just as I said to Shammai Rinpoche, the incarnation of a Bodhisattva has no will to turn against the dharma. It doesn't happen. They're Bodhisattva, so they're absorbing all that which is not. So it's chaos, harmony through conflict. Just as it was for Buddha, as it is for all the others. But the biggest difficulty is at a time like this, when you've got two incarnations and you got all this going on, and you don't know whether or not these manifestations are able to be real. Is one a fake? Is this all, a delusion and there's actually no power to it? Are these deities? Are these actually manifestations of Buddha? Or are we making this stuff up? And they're just a human being that has gained a lot of merit, and all the rest is what we made up. The grandiose of the Karmapa, or making him into a deity for all these hundreds of years. Were we wrong? Same thing, Dorje Chungden. Were we wrong? I mean, really? That just is amazing. That all of that teaching from all of those masters can be turned to such an enormously strange view. And it's mainly coming from one view, the authority view, where you give your faith and you give your authority. And it's not like, meant to do wrong. It just doesn't have the view. So when in that throne seat, and being what that is, that I believe is what tears down the integrity of Tibetan Buddhism. And I believe that it's in the prophecy of the Karmapa that it talks about that. At the time of the 16th Karmapa, a demon will come into incarnation and be enthroned. And that demon will begin taking charge of the relationship of the incarnations and destroy the turning of the wheel of the Dharma, people's recognition, their ability to view, changing and discrediting previous dharmic activity. It's in the prophecy, and I'm just the guy sitting on the wayside, studying my butt off, reading this, stepping back, watching their dharma take place, so that I could see the clearest possible view I can, and help out in the way I can by telling the truth, the way I'm doing this. And these guys are transmitting the same problem. One of them is living in it, and he's got a nice balance going on. And the other one, he hasn't got any balance going on at all. But his integrity is beyond the wildest imagination of any Rinpoche incarnated. Yeah. He has tamed the tiger. He has totally held telepathy, and he's able to stand up as Karmapa without the authority of anybody actually acknowledging whether he is or he isn't, because he's put in a terrible position where Shamar Rinpoche says he's not. Yeah? That's not easy. Yeah. So as Dorje Chung and as an incarnation of Karmapa, if this ever gets around, I want to let them know that they are both Karmapa, both the same person, both. And the one who said it best is the one that is represented by Shamar Rinpoche. But I'm sure if it's asked of the other Karmapa, you will get the exact same answer. Yeah. So they're both the same person. It's just hard to have a proper view when we have personality orientation. Yeah. And this is breaking the mold. It always has been. Yeah. 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 So, and that's what the Karmapa, that's what Padmasambhava, that's what all this is about, is dispelling glamour. Yeah. The influences of all the magic that gets in the way, the obstacles, that no one really knows exist, that we all fight against. We work in the dharma. And it's only because of the incarnation of the Bodhisattvas, that this thing is happening. So by showing you, whoever watches this, by showing you this, it's a working out of a plan of an enormously hostile, aggressive, negative reality that has gone against the hierarchy and the Buddha. Yeah. False prophets, anti-Christ, every single thing you can imagine is right there. Yeah. It's a Stephen King movie. Yeah. And it's reality, and it's in a phenomenon of reality as it would be exactly described by the Karmapa or by the Buddha or by me. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And it's being worked out simply by the fact you see these two Karmapas, and the telepathy of heart, of transmission, is affecting the whole of humanity as I'm transmitting into them by being there for them when they were born. Does that make sense? Whether I'm with one of them or I'm with all of them, I'm there with the Karmapa when they're born, and I'm there with the Karmapa when he died. Yeah? And I took over that responsibility. Yeah? So this isn't their responsibility. Yeah? This comes down to where one Karmapa takes responsibility and is standing as Dorje Chung, which is the rightful reality of Karmapa. It's a deity. It's a manifestation of Padmasambhava. It's a lineage holder. Yeah, and that's the only reason why I'm willing to explain this in this way, because I don't want to take anybody's throne seat. But in order to balance this, there needs to be Dorje Chung, and Dorje Chung has to be externalized and acknowledged as the Karmapa. And not just a manifestation, but as part of the manifestation externalization of Padmasambhava and the many, many lineage holders that made it possible for Buddha Maitreya to be physically incarnated as Dorje Chung. So from here on out, all the black hats that everybody has are empowered, and each one can wear the black hat. That's my belief. That's how it's going to turn. Yeah, because they're all the same. They're all the same. Yeah, and the influence of how they're going to turn the wheel is going to be by them sitting together, and yet actively living completely apart and doing their own personal activities that are drawn to them over the majority of the new teachings and the new students that are going to come their way. Yeah, because this is going to clear up so many things for all of humanity, for them to know that Buddha is incarnated, and these are his best teachers, and they're direct manifestations of him, just as it says in prophecy. Does that make sense? All right, so let's do puja. Oh, there, that's it. Okay, just relax and repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of your ashram, soul, and monad. Okay, take a deep breath. To guide you into the right activity in the plan. of the sixth ray. To your solar pipes. I invoke the alignment of the first ray to your crown center. I invoke the alignment of the fourth ray to your base center. I invoke the alignment of the fifth ray to your brow center. I invoke the light of the Christ within. I invoke the nature of the Buddha that you are to become. I invoke the mind of the Devic angelic beingness that you can be. I invoke the celestial spheres, the sounds of heaven, the sounds of God, the song of love. hierarchies, the saving grace of truth. Planetary, logos, solar, logos, cosmic, logos. One God, one law, one life. I invoke the angel that you are to wake up. Science of redemption, science of God. Om sacred geomancy. I invoke all mankind to dream in visions, to awaken, to live. Om unity in personality. Om Shanti. I invoke the seven rays to raise the senses of humanity, expressed as the soul. I invoke the sense of hearing in the seventh ray, hearing the word of God, the word of power. I invoke the sense of touch and the first ray as the finger of God. I invoke the sense of sight as the third ray, as the eye of God. I invoke the sense of taste as the sixth ray, as the desire of all the nations. I invoke the sense of smell as the fourth ray, the beauty of revelation. I invoke the sense of intellect as the fifth ray, as the knowledge of God. I invoke the sense of intuition as the second ray, the understanding of God. I call upon the synthesis of the seven rays to be expressed through your personality. As the first ray of ideas, the mental body, the purpose, your life. Second ray of ideals, the astral body and your quality. The third ray of idols, your physical body and your form. The fourth ray of the fourth kingdom of humanity in balance. The fifth ray, the third kingdom, the animals. The sixth ray, the second kingdom, vegetables. The seventh ray, the first kingdom, minerals. I call upon the relationships of all the kingdoms to penetrate the personality of humanity and express its collective soul. Seventh ray and the fourth ray as the mineral kingdom. The second ray, the fourth ray, and the sixth ray as the vegetable kingdom. The third ray and the sixth ray as the animal kingdom. The fourth ray and the fifth ray as the human kingdom. The fifth ray and the second ray as the egoic soul. The sixth ray and the third ray as planetary lives. First ray and the seventh ray as solar lives. penetrate the planet Earth, to bring forth the geomantic relationships of the soul, to integrate the egoic ray and the personality ray of each nation, and to express its true expression, to make manifest peace on earth as one living whole body of God. I call upon India to bring forth its fourth ray of personality and to integrate its first ray of soul to manifest the hidden light. I invoke China to bring forth its third ray personality, to integrate its egoic soul into its first ray, to manifest as the indication of the way. I invoke Germany to bring forth its first ray of personality, to integrate its egoic soul of fourth ray, to preserve the truth. I invoke France and its third ray personality, to integrate its fifth ray of egoic soul, to release the light. I invoke Great Britain and its first ray personality and its second ray egoic soul to bring forth its service. I invoke Italy and its fourth ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to carve the two paths. I invoke the United States and its sixth ray personality to integrate its second ray soul to light the way. I invoke Russia and its sixth ray personality to integrate its seventh ray soul to link the two ways. I invoke Australia and its fifth ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul and serve the lighted way. I invoke Spain and its seventh ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to disperse the clouds. I invoke Brazil and its second ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul to hide the sea. I invoke the entity of this planet, the planetary logos, to incarnate the life and the beingness of this planet. I invoke the expression of the second ray force into both the personality and the egoic rays of the nation, and the personality of the egoic ray of humanity, to fuse itself and its light into its healing process. I invoke the esoteric law of solar energy to make manifest the cosmic force of light, love, and peace. Okay, just relax. Okay, open your eyes. If you look at this picture here, you see I'm a Buddha of great activity. My activity is within the realm of Buddha. Yeah, I don't mess around with humanity. I don't mess around telling people what to do. I don't do any of that. Yeah, but I do what you're looking at. Yeah, I practice the relationship of exorcism. And I go into the earth, and I go to sacred places, and I sit and I pray. And I'll take the strongest method in which I could do it, whether it be a radionics machine, or a Metatron mat, or a pyramid, any energetic form that I can use to inspire my yoga at the level in which I do work. Yeah, that's how I do my activity. And that is far-reaching activity. I'm touching the realm of the demonic spells that are placed on this planet from the beginning of time to the moment that we're breathing every single second. So I sit in this process, and this machine thing that you look at here, you know, that I'm in, is that very thing that you see in this picture over here. Yeah? Whether I'm sitting here, or I'm sitting in Srinagar, or I'm sitting in Hemis, or I'm sitting anywhere, I see myself this way. I see myself as a planetary Buddha. And I don't take teachings from anybody. Yeah? No one could possibly tell me to do this kind of stuff.
Let me know if this is working, okay?
There's not a way to do this.
All right, so thank you all for attending today. And I'm gonna.
Yeah, so the influence of that kind of work, the influence of doing healing for the planet at a degree in which the planet doesn't really know what's going on, but I do. Yeah, and I'm working on a level to heal and influence the chakras that are in me to be transmitted into the planet. Yeah, not just to make, people into Buddhas, yeah, but to turn the wheel of the flower, turn the wheel of dharma. It's the essence. It's all about essence. So I have to, if you see this picture here, can you imagine how empty I have to get to look at what I'm looking at, which is nothingness? Yeah, and I'm asking questions from angels. I'm writing the names of angels down. Yeah, well-known angels, good angels, Archangel Michael. Yeah, and I'm putting that inside this radionics machine, and I have it above my head, and I'm invoking that influence to be my transmission to influence Earth, because I'm an incarnation of an angel. Yeah. And I have to deal with whether or not people can recognize the Karmapa. And people can recognize this or that. This is very much on a material plane. I don't work like that. If you see this, I'm not working so much on a material plane as I am on dispelling glamour, something people don't even know exists, way beyond the teachings of normal Buddhism. The actual cure, the science in the mind of Buddha Maitreya. Yeah, the influence that comes with that. It's not like regular Buddhism. Yeah, I'm not the same. Yeah, people look at Buddhism and you see ceremony and monasteries and all of that. I am the creator of those disciples. I'm their teacher. Yeah, I influence them. I help them stay in that commitment. Yeah, so that they can help the world. Someone's got to give this up. Someone's got to try. Yeah, and these are good numbers of people who have committed themselves to not being inside of society and to work inside of a cave or work inside of a monastery and practice pith, an influence of making these little puja ornaments of dharma activity. It allows them to make tankas and paintings and all the things that you see in the monasteries made by a monk or a lama in the process of their activity on a daily basis. And every time they complete those processes, they're purifying their impurity and they're creating merit into the world, because those objects are divinely inspired and manifested from Buddha. Because they're in Buddha Dharma, they're in the Sangha. So if they're inspired to do this, taught to do this, it goes down a lineage of teachings for all the things that they're doing inside those monasteries is magic. Their life is not a sacrifice, their life is not a burden, their life is fulfilling. Something that they're doing in a pith or a puja, a 3-year retreat, hardship, not eating much, or eating whatever you're supposed to eat exactly. All the things that you're required to do to get through something that you don't know that you're doing, but it's awakening chakras that you didn't have the ability to awaken. But Buddha's giving the hierarchy the ability to yoga, to move you through the process and get you there safely. That's Tibetan Buddhism. That's what the Karmapa's job is. He's incarnated to do that sort of thing. And all the other students below that do that. But, this is what I do. That's why I'm in Shambhala. Yeah? And I go to all these places. But they know that all the influence that they're receiving is from my 100% time spent doing this. Just being nothing. And receiving everything that is impure. And turn that wheel by being nothing. Yeah? It's a trip, but it is exactly how it works. It's exactly how I do this. Yeah? It's just by allowing the influence of the Dharma to move. Yeah. So it's a science, and everybody who is involved in this work, whether it be, like in this case, you have something like this, and you wonder why such a big thing. Indians in America making these geometric patterns in cities, but humanity doesn't really know that they exist. But the overshadowing of humanity is expressed through the mind of Buddha. And we don't know how long Buddha's been doing this throughout history. And there are imprints in history that show my activity of me sitting, meditating, and doing this. Yeah? Causing this. Yeah? Does that make sense? And the same thing, causing that. Causing all these Rinpoches and all these Tukus and all these Bodhisattvas to take incarnation because I'm being received as the teacher in the world, solving the problems actively through my students, externalizing like the Karmapa and all the rest. Yeah, isn't that cool? I think that's pretty interesting. So, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy.
Lying about everything, don't matter if it's small or big. Trying to solicit other countries to election rig. Taxes unpaid, net worth not so high. Money laundered, crime after conflicts of interest, like trademarks in China. Sexual harassment, like grabbing vaginas. Spilling intel, putting spies at risk. Obstructing justice. He's a thug, he's a crook, he's a president. Crime after crime. When he's gone, will the book they will throw at him. Crime after crime. He's insane, narcissistic, can't help himself. Crime after crime. When he falls, will the cops, they will be waiting. Crime after crime.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails.
If Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think you might want to listen.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens.
Siding with Putin instead of the CIA. Reducing his debt load by demanding lower interest rates. Secret servers to hide his quid pro quos. Hosting summits at Mar-a-Lago. He's a con man, a crook, that's our president. Crime after crime. Pardons dangled to White House aides to break the law. Grammar mangled. He's a grifter, a crook, that's our president. Crime after crime. He's insane, narcissistic, can't help himself. Crime after crime. When he falls, will the cops, they will be waiting.